And get started. And welcome to Driving Customers Online. How to reach customers and to do so on their terms. So I'm Tim Cole. I'm our Chief Customer Officer here at MPX. We're in Portland, Maine. And Mandy Fish, our Director of Technology Solutions, is with us, and you'll be hearing from her in a little bit. Both Mandy and I have spent a fair amount of time with the energy world and spending a lot of time with various customers, and so we each have a great respect and perspective on all aspects of kind of the energy space. But for whatever it's worth, I am a full service customer, and Mandy is a cash customer. So we have that in addition to our day-to-day business experience. From a housekeeping standpoint, the phones are muted. Questions are strongly encouraged, and we'll answer them at the end. And please enter those questions into the chat window, and just be careful to direct them to the organizer. So from an agenda, what we'll be covering today, consumer trend, although really trend is too mild, it's really a consumer edict of self-determination. And what does this mean for fuel providers? Connecting with customers, how to do so with the recurring touch points. And ultimately, what we're all after is to achieve that customer joy, whether it's online, but certainly especially so as we're going to be talking about that today. How to drive them online, and then we'll explore some of the next steps, things that you can go ahead and do now. So from kind of an initial consideration standpoint, in this digital age, customers have lots of options. Although it's not always clear how they're interacting with each of us and each of your organizations. And so that's certainly one question, which is, do you know how they're using your website? And do you know how they feel about their online experience with you? So as we touched on earlier, consumers, definitely there's this edict, there's this expectation. Given the internet, given dual working families and the pace of everyday life, online ordering is absolutely mainstream, and consumers insist on having control, having options for functioning with their day-to-day needs on a time frame and with the tools that make sense for them. They're spread thin, they're functioning at night, certainly interacting online, and they've got tremendous freedom. And that what that means for all of us is that they can switch companies at any time, and that can be for a service expectation or for price. And so we're all dealing with that reality. The other piece of it is that they're just not stopping into our offices the way they used to. They're not calling because they've got means of communicating with us otherwise. So they're really, in so many ways, they're hidden away. And that just adds a challenge to the need to really help customers stay connected. So given that they're hidden away, what are those points of interaction? And the reality is that from a day-to-day standpoint, from a reoccurring standpoint, it's documents in your website. So all interactions are on consumers, on their terms. They'll decide kind of if, when, and who, and how. Those decisions are being made at lightning speeds by consumers. And often we can be the last to know. So it's definitely time to think differently, to acknowledge that these changes in consumer behavior have hit our industry squarely. So from a reality standpoint, the new frontlines of customer service are really documents and web interactions. As much as we'd like, relationships are typically, they're developed face to face, over the phone, over time, where you can show people how you feel and you can read their cues. Consumers, however, in general, and specifically with energy companies, just aren't available in that same fashion. We all would love to have those days of personal exchange, when delivering fuel, customers stopping by the office for coffee while inquiring about service or to pay a bill. Certainly there's some that do that, but not in the degree that they used to. Um, there are few, if any, face-to-face encounters. Even the phone is not preferred by consumers, given today's pace and the alternatives. Phone calling takes energy, and if they could be satisfied otherwise, they're gonna opt for those alternatives. Those former ways of interacting just aren't occurring. So what's left? How do we shape today's relationships? How do you tell your story? How do you convey to your customers how you feel? Loyalty, revenue, your competitive advantage are all built upon today's moments of truth, those points of interaction. And those are your recurring documents and the payment portal. So while this is a dramatic change, the reality is that there's still tremendous opportunity. It's different, it's a different canvas, it's a different way of thinking, but the best of your peers are absolutely embracing this new reality. Technology is a critical part of today's solution. It's absolutely essential. The judgment that consumers are making, the quick decisions, particularly cash customers, but certainly full service customers too, they'll switch if they can't function on their terms. So it's imperative to consider all customer touch points and how it contributes to the positive or negative energy that is related to each of our organizations. And certainly that positive and negative energy, both are contagious. And so we're looking to contribute in ways that can keep that positive energy flowing and help your growth as a result. So we'll switch gears now to have Mandy delve deeper into the touch points and these moments of influence and how they can impact your customers.
Thanks, Tim. As Tim mentioned, really your documents are an important touch point with your customers. They should be customer-centric and provide meaningful information that reduces the confusion and not adds to it. So I'm showing here a couple examples of the documents and the ways that it can provide a more meaningful information for your customers so that they don't have to struggle to get the information that they need. And then they should also be a tool to communicate with your customers, to promote your products and services, and then encourage those desired behaviors that help keep them loyal and valuable. So for instance, there should be messaging that drives the customer to pay online. Both, this really is to save them a stamp or a check, but also it reduces your accounts receivable cycle and the cost to process that payment. You should also make sure that the customer knows they can sign up to become paperless, to receive documents, and to make payments online. So all of this is really done in the messaging integration on the documents. So we have some more questions for you to think about. First, why do customers visit your website? And then, do you know if they found what they were looking for when they were there? So these are things that we want you to think about. And then as we're going into the actual website here, what we're really talking about is a self-service website. We're not talking about the part of your website where the public goes to learn more about your company. We're talking about where the customers go and they can log in and perform specific account actions. So they expect this functionality, such as viewing and looking up documents like statements and invoices, making a payment, setting up or modifying or editing recurring or automatic payments, setting up useful alerts and notifications, and I'll go into that in a little bit, and ordering product and scheduling service. These are all things that the customer expects to see from your website. So I'll show you some examples. Here, the self-service portal, customer portal, should make it easy for customers to get instant access to the information and tools that they use the most. And according to our data and our information, knowing how much they owe and being able to make a payment is one of the most common actions taken on a customer portal. So making it easy for them to do that and really showing showing right up front what they owe and the most recent statement when it's due, and giving them the ability to pay right then and there. Providing flexible payment options is important to allow customers to choose how and when and how often that they want to pay you. So ensure you have the ability to allow customers to pay by credit card or pay by bank account, and to save these payment methods if they choose to do so. So being able to set up recurring payments is also especially useful in the energy industry, where, as you know, customers are often in a budget payment plan and they pay the exact same amount each month. This gives them the freedom to sort of set up their own payments and pay on a more easily managed budget. And making sure that they can do that right from the website is a great tool to keep them engaged. Provide the customer with useful tools such as categorizing and filtering past documents. So customers really want the ability to access historical information and be able to do their budget and really look at usage. So it's important to allow them to do so with filters that make it easy to find this information and really manage it and organize it. Your customer portal should allow the customers to link accounts with to view multiple accounts and manage them from a single website. So this allows customers that have more than one account, such as a home or a camp or rental properties, they can manage it all their fuel accounts in one place, and this also allows them the ability to customize their account list with a nickname. And just in case, for instance, a landlord with 30 properties or so hasn't memorized all of the various account numbers, they can provide a nickname for each of the account numbers. So this is a really great way to make sure that what you're providing your customers, the services you're providing your customers, really are meeting their needs and they're customer centric. So the customer should be able to set up and manage various account notifications and alerts using multiple delivery methods. So this should include multiple email addresses. So if you have an additional email address, or say a spouse that you want to make sure, set up your spouse to receive an email when the bill is due, to remind them to pay that. Or also, more importantly, in when we talk about consumer trends, is mobile numbers for text notifications. So giving them the ability to set up specific alerts and messages that they can receive by text. This can help them manage their account and basically make sure that they're always in the know with their energy account. So when we talk about driving customers online, it's not because we think it's a growing trend. It's because that's where customers are. I mean, that's what people expect. It's sort of, it's life. It's what we do today. It's an experience that your customers really expect to get. So once you have the tools in place, you want to drive them there so they can take advantage of these self-service functions on their schedule. So here are a couple or a few examples of ways to do this. Outer envelope messaging. So that's where there's a message on the outside of the outgoing envelope that they receive their documents in. Often in the form of, say, encouraging someone to go paperless so they don't have to receive their bill in the mail like this. Saving the environment. A lot of people use going green or saving the environment to encourage people to opt into paperless billing. Remittance messaging, and that's where there's dynamic messaging on the actual payment stub itself, or actually also the envelope as well, the reply envelope. So save a stamp and pay online. And if you happen to offer a postage paid payment envelope or reply envelope, it's definitely a downward trend. I'd say most energy companies these days do not. So saving a stamp is a nice way to encourage people to go online to pay. Um, Paperless promotions and statement messaging to drive customers online. So this could include simple reminders of the tools that are available online, or it can be even more aggressive with discounts or offering prompt pay discounts if they go online to sign up for paperless billing. That type of thing actually is pretty common in the banking and credit card industry, where you're either charged more for paper statements or you're given a small monthly credit if you get paperless statements. So that's something that the banking industry has gotten pretty aggressive on that. So also another way to drive customers online is using your IVR or phone messaging system. So if you have an IVR, like a automated phone tree type system that prompts the customers to make selections and get to the right department, that system can also be set up to encourage the customer to go online, where they can perform a lot of the same functions that they can calling your customer service department. And then also making sure that your customer service representatives are aware of the online tool so they can make suggestions to customers. So while they're helping them on the phone, they can encourage the customer to go online and maybe manage their account from there, and being able to help them do that, set up an account, and make sure that they can navigate it well. So really equipping your customer service team with the training and suggested encouragement to get customers online. So what you can do today. First thing is to do a gap analysis of what your current customer portal provides compared with what customers are expecting. So this is basically determining the gap between the current state and the desired state. And this will help clarify what potential enhancements can be made to improve that customer experience online. And then next, you'll want to set priorities for those enhancements. So sometimes it isn't in the budget to do everything all at once. But if you have a good list of the desired enhancements, setting priorities with the customer in mind is a good next step from there. And then finally, you will need to find a partner to make it all happen. And so with that, Tim is going to tell you a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Mandy. And before I go into some thoughts about attributes of a partner that you might consider, I wanted to share a story that is from a related industry, and we are in 4 different verticals that we work within and we really see that as a strength of our company, where we get immersed in a limited number, but more than one industry, in order to kind of get best practices from one to share with another. And recently there was a healthcare conference where there was a practice, a pretty good sized practice in New Jersey that was talking about what they had done to get an adoption rate that was more than I'd heard from anyone else. And typically in the energy space and in most industries, the adoption rate of kind of online interaction is in the 15% range, plus or minus a little bit. And in this particular medical practice had a 57% adoption rate, and and they had every expectation to get to 100%. And the simple kind of principle that they followed was that they took on the initiative as an overall organizational initiative. It wasn't just an IT initiative, or it wasn't just a customer service initiative. And they all got together and decided, okay, if I were on the other end of this website, what would I want? And so for healthcare, getting test results and having the ability to make payments and a few other things, but basically the test results in their case was a really strong motivating factor to get their patients to be online. So they had their doctors talking about it. They had ways of signing up, and they delivered. And and so they're on their way. And the reason they believe that they're going to get to 100% is that they're just committed as an organization. But they said, who would have believed 10 years ago if we'd said to each other that we're all going to be booking our airline tickets online now? I don't think many of us would have anticipated that that is truly a 100% adoption rate at this point. So I think that each of these experiences that our consumers are seeing, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's at Amazon, however they're experiencing the incredible advances in how they're being served by other organizations, absolutely is influencing their expectations for those of us in the energy space. So I would encourage all of you to really just think about, what is it that customers want, and whether it's the ability to look at historical documents whenever they make a decision about their budget plan, whether it's to set up recurring payments. What are the means of use on your site that will have them encouraged and looking forward to using that site. So anyway, just want to share that story. So what to expect from your vendor? Certainly in this day and age, and it's been a trend for a long time, but most companies want fewer vendors. It's just that it makes for a smoother operation. They trust the organizations. The organization gets to know their workflow and who's who. So to have fewer vendors could be very helpful. So it's beneficial to have a vendor who can address all of your customer touch points. So whether they're paper or online, having great data sophistication is really important. And that means a whole variety of things, but essentially it means that you want a vendor that knows how to look for data, how to take data from a variety of formats, whether it's in a PDF format where they're stripping off the important information and reapplying it where it's supposed to be, whether it's in a pure XML kind of data format. There are a whole variety of ways to receive data, and those vendors that are most adept at not being tripped up and being able to take from your system and helping you organize that data in a way that is really meaningful to the customer. And at another event recently, I heard a comment about data that the reality is that it's relatively useless until it's organized and rendered and presented in a way that makes sense for the users. And so you want a vendor that can help bring that data to life. And then, certainly from a understanding of the energy industry, how to utilize that data and apply it for billing clarity, whether it's most often on a budget document. It can be very confusing pretty quickly if there isn't some consideration to layout and format to organize the information for the customer so they know what's part of the plan, what isn't part of the plan, what is truly due. And then in addition to have a real pulse on the providers, the software providers that are in the industry, like Ad Systems and Cargus and others, each of those organizations has a tremendous track record in how they've organized the workflow for your organization, and then as a result, how that data is presented. And so it's valuable to have a vendor that has a pulse on those various options and where to look for the data, how to organize it, and how to present it, so that they can layer on top of the knowledge that you already have, that they bring some outside information. Also, to have vendors that have integrated with ads and with Cargus, that can be very beneficial. It's to make those links and to make sure that they're ironclad, and to again present the data that's important for your customers and for the reasons that make sense, whether it's billing or marketing. And then certainly it could be beneficial to have a vendor who's focused, like you, on elevating the customer experience. Infrastructure and flexibility to deliver the right solutions. It's one thing to say that you want to accomplish something as a sales team, as a support organization, but it's really important to have the underpinnings, the technological infrastructure to allow you to be flexible. What you don't want is a vendor that comes to you with a solution that's predetermined, that is limited by a template or something else that will preclude you from accomplishing what you really want to accomplish. So look for that underlying flexibility and technical infrastructure. And in addition to having that technology, look for a vendor that also has the team, that has the technical wherewithal, but also kind of the business sense to make it happen. That's an important combination that I think the two together really can make a difference. A deep understanding of systems integrations. Again, regardless of what the software platform is, there is a real need to make those integrations work, and then also responsive design, which really means that whatever is delivered on your website is viewable and accessible and logical, whether the recipient is on a desktop or a tablet or on their mobile device. And then from a cost saving standpoint, you certainly expect it, and so you've got to select a vendor who absolutely expects to deliver that savings. Another important characteristic is someone who's agnostic about whether or not they deliver your solutions on paper or online. Particularly as we're talking about today, that online experience, you want a vendor that doesn't care. I mean, they care to the extent that they want you to deliver the right solution for your customers, but they personally don't care whether they're doing it for you on paper or online. So with that, just a couple of words about our organization. We're really in the business of delivering touch points that work on paper, online, on telephone calls. So from a document design standpoint, and again, whether that's delivered on paper or online, from a payment solution standpoint, again, those are options, online, lockbox. There's we really think about that whole revenue cycle and all those touch points that you have with your customers and how to pull that together. So our organization, we really thrive on relationships where the clients are forever seeking to improve the experience of their customers, and that positive experience is what fuels your success, and only then do we succeed. So that's really kind of our approach to this business. So with that, we welcome your questions and would love to have a chance to kind of talk through what's on your mind. So please continue to type them into the chat window and direct them to the organizer. But the first question, let me just start with, and then Mandy, you can add to it. And,
sure.
And one question is that we already have a website. And what are your options for integrating with what's already in place? So that's a relatively common occurrence, and so from our standpoint here at MPX, first of all, when we're talking about the website in today's context, we're really talking about the payment portal, the customer interaction portion of your website. And we are open to whatever ways make sense. We want to insert ourselves where we can complement and add value. In some cases, that means that we're really building the entire portion of your customer interaction portal, and have a lot of experience with that, both in the energy space and other industries, and have a great amount of infrastructure and capabilities there. But by no means do we require that be the way that our solutions are implemented. If there are pieces of the puzzle that you already have in place that work perfectly well and that there's no need to change, we can layer ourselves in and around that. We can host the documents for you that you want to make available to your customers and to your customer service team. You can call back into our data repository and pull those documents into your site for access when called upon. We really pride ourselves in developing solutions that are modular and not at all insist upon one size fits all.
So I'll jump in on this other question about the types of promotions. One of the ways, or one of the probably most successful types of promotions we've seen is really messaging right on the statement. So putting some eye-catching graphics and messaging right on the document that is going to highlight some of the things that the customer can do on the website, making it so that you're providing value to the customer. If it's just to drive them online to make a payment or to just sign up for paperless, it doesn't really give it doesn't really provide value for that customer. So making sure they understand what they can do online and all the sort of extra bells and whistles or extra features that the customer can do online. But basically having that messaging on the document, because at that point they're not paperless yet, so they're receiving the paper document in the mail. So that document messaging is really a very successful way to drive people online. And I mean, sometimes um, it can be successful to offer like an actual promotion or offer, but it we haven't seen that has necessarily driven paperless adoption any more than just the straight messaging has.
Um, Thanks, Mandy. Another question is, what are some of the newer trends that you're seeing and capabilities that are offered online? And I guess probably the most significant trend is text. The growing kind of millennial mindset and the younger customer, they're used to interacting via text rather than email. So whether it's notifying them when their documents are ready to be viewed, is it certainly by text is now a common offering and one that should be incorporated. But increasingly, to make payments by text there's some great services that are available, and that's a pretty neat way to not only kind of satisfy that younger mindset, but the success rate with payment is pretty significant. Those When people are notified by text, the payments are almost instantaneous because that the person who likes text notifications is kind of an action oriented. I want to do it now. I don't want to have to deal with it later, and that really works in your favor from a payment standpoint. So those are a couple of trends, and before too long there'll be something new that will come along that will be expected, and so but that certainly is one that's becoming increasingly common.
I've got another one over here. It basically some of the things you should be looking for when evaluating your systems and the integration between the billing and the payments in the website. One of the things to keep in mind is to make sure that all of those things work together well, and making sure that the online experience for the customer includes the document that is the same document that somebody that would be receiving the mailed statement, the same sort of look and feel and enhanced features of that document are available to that online customer as it will be for the mailing customer. And then also making sure that your customer service representatives also have access to that same document. That is that's something that really you should make sure that your current provider or providers, if you have multiple parties in here, are able to work together with a true integrated experience from all of the various channels. So another question is about automation, and and one thing that we have found is the world of automated messaging and notifications is a pretty complex world. There's a lot of different communications that that can be set up or configured or modified for a customer's online experience. So we personally have, or not personally, but we professionally, I guess, have gone through a recent website development where there was an entire spreadsheet devoted to the messaging capabilities and how those messages are automated across all of the various actions that are being taken on that website. So setting up a new linked account, or setting up the recurring payment plan, and any changes that are made when once you've made changes to that recurring payment plan. And of course, all of the notifications. Each one of those actions typically triggers an automated notification or message to the customer, informing them that they have placed or they have made changes. Uh, but also, it comes with when payments are processed. There's a lot of things that are happening when the payments are processed. So a payment can be scheduled and then it's completed, and then if there are any sort of issues with that payment, if it doesn't go through, if it fails, or if there's some reason for that payment not going through because maybe the expiration date doesn't match, all of those need to trigger some automated replies and messaging. And if that didn't quite answer the question, then feel free to contact us afterwards, and we can make sure that we get a clear answer to everybody. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. So we really appreciate the questions. We appreciate your ear, and you can see on the screen if it's helpful to follow up with either of us for additional questions. We're available and happy to do so. So thank you all. Really appreciate the chance to catch up this morning.